Hello, this is Alyssa Huber of The Life of an Aspie. This week is OCD Awareness Week, so let's talk about OCD. I was recently diagnosed with OCD a little bit before I started school this semester. A word of advice, do not get a diagnosis right before you start school or some other big life event, because you have to spend a lot of time figuring out your life after the diagnosis. So, let's define OCD. OCD involves obsessions and compulsions. Obsessions are usually unwanted or intrusive thoughts or fears, and compulsions are actions that usually are a result of those obsessions as a way to distract from them or to calm them down in some way. You don't have to have both to have a diagnosis. You can have just the obsessions or just the compulsions. But if you do have both, they also don't have to be logically related. Sometimes it's not really easy to see a connection between the two. And also, like any other diagnosis, each individual case varies greatly, so the symptoms will look different. Everybody will have different intrusive thoughts and different compulsions. Also, there is definitely a stereotype of OCD, which drives people who actually have OCD a little bit crazy sometimes. The stereotype is usually someone who is germophobic, or someone who has a hand-washing compulsion, or very, very specific things, like they keep their house clean and they're very specific about everything, and things must align perfectly. And while those things can appear in OCD, they don't appear in everyone, because it is just one example and one stereotype. If anything, this looks closer to a condition similar to OCD, but it is not OCD. It's called OCPD, or Obsessive Compulsive Personality Disorder. What's different about that is they might show traits of OCD, but they're more like personality traits. So they might be very perfectionist, they might be very clean, they might be very particular about things, but the difference is it's not driven by anxiety, it's more personality related, and it's seen more as a good thing. As for OCD, while the individual variations are limitless, there are some more common categories or types of OCD. I'm going to list just a few of them. One of them is harm OCD, where you fear harming someone or something. One example would be, let's say you're driving in your car and you have an intrusive thought or this fear that you will run someone over or that you will hit their car. As a result, if you have a compulsion that goes with that, you might pull over to the side of the road, or you might drive really slowly or really carefully. As for the other types of OCD, another one relates to sexuality, where you might question your sexuality even though it's already set in stone. For instance, if you're straight, you might question whether you're gay even though you're not, and it can cause a whole lot of confusion. Another kind of OCD is religious scrupulosity, or moral scrupulosity if you are not religious. This is relating more to, at least in the religious sense, you might have a thought that you are sinning, you are bad, you are unworthy, or it can get even crazier. You might think, I might be possessed by demons or something. And so one of the compulsions, which is pretty common, is praying for forgiveness, or talking to a priest, or something along those lines. For moral scrupulosity, that might look more like you're afraid of doing something wrong, like you fear maybe you have offended someone in some way, or you did something morally wrong and you might feel guilty, even if you never did anything, or whatever you did do is extremely minor. As a result of that, you might apologize excessively. I'm sorry! Or you might try really hard to be a good person. So between the different types of OCD and the individual variations, the different kinds of symptoms and personalities, OCD will look different for everyone. If you suspect that you might have OCD or someone else might have it, I highly recommend getting a diagnosis as early as possible, because then you can get help as early as possible and treatment, and you won't have to deal with this by yourself. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it enjoyable and informative. And please feel free to share this. I know we're at the very end of OCD Awareness Week, but you can never have too much awareness for the rest of the year. So thank you, and I will see you in the next video, podcast, blog post, or whatever. Bye!